Hello again. Um, Scarlet Letter, just like Dickens' novel. Each chapter is connected to the next one, just like a series, just like watching a TV series or a movie. So we find that each chapter is very related, or it's a continuation to the previous one. We dealt with chapter 1 as the prison door. We had an introduction about the background, about the setting, about the details in which the text is governed. So now we move to the next chapter, which is entitled the marketplace. The marketplace is from the title. In Hawthorne's novel, we need to keep a track on the titles of each chapter because they can tell a lot. So the marketplace is a place where people normally gather, where they sit, where they do their daily activities, and it is normally a place where punishments for criminals, for bad people are done. So from its title, we know that the marketplace, we already noticed in chapter 1 that people are gathered. People are gathering for some forthcoming event. Other event you will understand later. I don't want to talk much about the plot in order not to burn the events, as some of you might complain, maybe Mariam. The novel in general, we have one of the characters, Hester Prynne. We also will keep some attention to the names and the meanings of these names. Hester means aster in Greek, or in Latin it means a star. So she has committed adultery with somebody for certain circumstances. We don't know about these circumstances. This is done before the novel begins. And this is not the focus of the novel, the act itself. What is important is what happened after the act. That's why we find that the writer pays a great attention to the results, the ramifications of that event. That's where the novel begins, after, because that act is done before the novel begins. And we will discuss such questions in our next lectures. Not to spend much time about the introduction, the marketplace discusses some major points. The marketplace. As you can see here, I'm not sure if you noticed this small dots. Hester's physical description, pills is a symbol of the scarlet of the letter A, and these ideas. I can summarize some few points which the chapter discusses. The chapter starts with an introduction, a general introduction about the novel. And then the chapter talks about women, exactly women, how they are portrayed in the Puritan community. How do they describe Hester when she will appear later? What are their reactions, how they are portrayed in the novel. So we will have an idea about women and how Hawthorne tries to reflect them in the Puritan community. The third point, we have the beadle. The beadle is an official in the church, a person who works in the church and is in charge of certain duties. The fourth point the chapter covers is Hester and how she is described, her physical description, some psychological references, why she is here, what does she carry with her arms, what is written or what is inscribed on her chest, and some later with some reflection or some point about her, what runs in her mind, the psychological state of Hester. So when she starts recollecting her memories, she describes her past. So the writer offers some information about Hester's past through her remembering some of the events, and in this she tells us something about her past, where she came from, who are her parents, where she used to live, who is her husband, whom she where did she live before she comes to Boston. So these are the major 4 or 5 points this chapter covers. I'll try to be very brief. The description here is very general. You find something related to Hester and her daughter appeared. Dimmesdale first appears. We have some characters. The previous chapter did not show any character. This chapter presents Hester, the protagonist of the novel, Dimmesdale, a pastor, a Christian pastor who works in Boston church. Some reference to this character, but he will be introduced later in the next chapter. And description, as I said, of the Puritan society and how women are reflected in this society. So this page gives us a brief introduction about some details related to the Boston society. The next page, if you go to page 46, if you have the books, or you can read it here, the description goes on. Some new details are offered here, some references. Hawthorne is master of allusions. You know, he alludes here to antinomian, the Quakers. أكهنان فدنوت بسيطة gives us something about a kind of sect of Christianity who believe that faith alone, not obedience to law, is required. Yani you just need to be a believer. That's fine. That's okay. You don't need to obey or abide with any rules of the church. Where Mistress Anne Hibbins is accused of witchcraft. She is a kind of a witch, sahira. This story goes on, and then the women who were now standing about the prison door, as we said, in Noaku gathering in front of the prison, waiting for something to happen later. Then the next point, as I said, this chapter offers is a Puritan women. How women are portrayed in this chapter. Good wives, said hard features. I'd like you to highlight the jargons, the qualities or adjectives that Hawthorne used in describing these women. Hard-featured dame lady of 50. I'll tell you a piece of my mind. It would be greatly for the public behoof if we women being of mature age and church members in good repute should have the handling of such, etc. until the end. People say, said another. This is a chit chat, just like our societies. Women sit and talk. The Reverend Master Dimmesdale, her godly pastor, is the person who is in charge of Hester, of treating her, of dealing with her adultery. He is supposed to be her pastor. Takes it very grievously to heart that such a scandal should have come upon his congregation. Another reference to women and how they feel that Hester should be punished for her own crime. This is the truth added a third autumnal matron. At the very least, they should have put the brand of a hot iron on Hester Prynne's forehead. As I told you, she committed adultery with somebody we don't know yet. We will know later. And according to the punishment, according to Puritan punishment, she should be put to death. She should be hanged. She should be killed. But here, I think people started to think of a new punishment, that she must wear a scarlet letter, a letter A. A means adulterer, on her own chest, which remarks her on, which identifies her adultery, and this is her punishment. She's supposed to wear that letter forever, for her life. So this lady comments, at the very least, they should have put the brand of a hot iron, يحطون حديد حار, on Hester's forehead, على جبهتها. Madam Hester would have winced at that, I warrant me. But she, the naughty baggage little, well, she cared what they put upon the bodice of her gown. Why, look you, she may cover it with a brush. So they are concerned that Hester might cover this kind of letter with any kind of a brush, like dambus, like a mishbak, any thing by which she embroiders her own gown, and she can hide that letter. But interposed more softly a young wife, holding a child by the... Let her cover the mark as she will. The pang of it will be always in her heart. التأثير هذا الحرف راح يكون دائما في قلب, in Hester's heart. So even though she covers that kind of letter, it is useless, because the effect, the influence of that letter would be felt in her own heart. Mercy on us, good wives, exclaimed a man in the crowd. Is there no virtue in women, save that what springs from a wholesome fear? هذا شوفون the description of these ladies and what kind of qualities they are described by the writer. Hard, black, stiff, hard features. So most of these qualities reflect that women are very, let's say, hard-hearted. They are portrayed in a tough way. They are not like normal women of our own day. So they are reflected as very tough. These women are a sect of the society. So this chapter highlights the severity of a Puritan people, specifically women. You must have come across such words like petrified, like grim, like rigidity, like iron visaged. وجوههم وكأنها من